Greetings and thank you for tuning in to My Journey with Paula G. We'd like to thank our underwriters, the Good Actor Studio of Marietta, Georgia, my coffee shop at East Lake, Pastor's Time International Bible College, Augusta, Georgia, with Dr. Paul and Marcia Kelly, Creekside Dental Incorporated of Douglasville, Georgia, Lusu Designs with Brandon Sampson of Maryland, Survival Radio Network and Clicks Photography by Clark Garrison, and Positive Power XXI Christian Media and Radio Network with Journey Was Live worldwide. We hope you enjoyed this presentation and tune in again. Embrace the journey with Paula G.
Look at me, really look at me. You don't know me, yet you judge me. You look at the color of my skin and assume all the wrong things. You would rather listen to the noise. You call me names without any proof of your claims. This says more about you than it says anything about me. You fan the flames of hate, hoping I'd bow down and assume my fate. Your words are hollow. I refuse to be afraid of my own shadow. Let me tell you who I am. I am a black woman, born free. And you can't take that away from me. I won't be told what and who I am supposed to be. I won't give in to your fears, nor will I give you any of my tears. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am love. I am truth. I am everything that I'm meant to be. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I just am.
Welcome to My Journey with Paula G, where we juggle this journey called life while walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us. Thank you all so much for joining us on the journey. And if this is your first visit, welcome, welcome, welcome. We appreciate you being with us. If you are returning, well, it's good to see you back, and I hope all is well. You know, I always start each and every week, time is precious. It is the one thing that we cannot get back. So for you to think it not robbery to spend a bit of your time with us is truly, truly appreciated. We appreciate each and every one of you. We also appreciate our underwriters for My Journey with Paula G, because without them, this would not be possible. And if you're interested in being an underwriter for My Journey with Paula G, you can reach out to us at jerryroycelive@gmail.com or paula@paulagvoice.com for more information. We'd love to have you as part of our journey. You know, each week I have a jewel on the journey, and that is an individual who has been with us through some part of the journey, whether a live event or one of our tapings. And I've always asked them to share a bit of their wisdom with us. And our jewel today is none other than our very own Monique Washington. And she writes, "We are entering into a new hemisphere. Look for the signs. Abraham left his family and familiarity and extended into the wilderness. Don't be afraid to step out into new territory. God has a plan for you, and indeed, God has a plan for each and every one of us. We just have the faith to step out in new territory and see what it is that He has in store for us." So I hope that encouraged somebody on this journey as well. All right, well, our guest today, we're very excited to have him today. He is a school teacher. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a minister, and he's here with us to share his journey. Please welcome to My Journey with Paula G, Lewis Anderson. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Every day we
Amen.
wake up, it's just another opportunity to do what it is that God has gifted each and every one of us to do. So
Amen.
speaking of gifts, tell us a little bit about your journey through working your gifts and utilizing your gifts that God has given you.
Well, I began teaching in 1988, teaching music in Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, I grew up doing music. I've been performing ever since I was 9 years old. And I went to school and studied, got my BA. And then from 1983, I worked 5 years daycare. And then from daycare, I went on to the school system, teaching music and teaching general music and choir. And so for 20 years, I taught in Brooklyn. And then in 2008, I moved here to Texas, where I've been doing middle school choir since 2008. And in between there, God laid it on me to preach the gospel. And so I've been preaching since 1997. And so he's given me the gift of music and the gift of preaching, and he's allowed me to combine the two to further his ministry, to further his goal, to be a blessing, to be a blessing to everyone.
And that is so wonderful, and it's so interesting how when God gives us these gifts, how we're able to use the gifts in different ways to help different populations of people. You're ministering, so you're ministering to the masses. You're teaching music to our young people. And middle school can be a challenge, I'm sure.
Yes.
Middle school can be a challenge. So it is really just such a beautiful thing. So, talking about middle school students and teaching during this particular season that we're in, during the time of this particular show, where we're still in the midst of a pandemic, how have you had to be creative, juggling this journey called life while walking in the gifts and talents? How have you had to be creative so that you can continue to teach?
Well, from the teacher standpoint, I had to be able to relate to the kids in the classroom as well as the kids at home, simultaneously at the same time. So it was incumbent upon me to come up with ways and activities and ideas that can merge the two. So that forced me to be creative in my thinking of ways. How could I communicate with the people at home? How could I communicate with the kids in the classroom and have them, how could I say, work together? And so that's been the challenge. One of the things I've been able to do is to be able to have the kids at home sing back to me what I'm teaching them. And when we're doing Zoom, we're doing whatever we're doing, in technology, there's a lag, there's a different space and time, so we can't do everything at the same time. So my thing was to be able to showcase the kids at home to hear what they're doing. So that had to be a separate thing. And then to transition over to the kids in my classroom, we could sing together. And then I could bounce whatever I'm doing with the kids in the classroom could bounce that off of what I was doing with the kids at home. So it was a very interesting time.
Yeah, and a learning curve too, because I think those who are not in education may not realize what an incredible challenge that educators had, this past year and a half. First of all, the technology, because not everyone is tech savvy. So learning the technology, and then to your point, syncing the students that are in the classroom with you as well as those that are at home, the lag time, keeping all of the students connected, because however many students you have on Zoom, they're in different households. And I know there was an occasion I was visiting a friend, and her grandson was on Zoom. His class was on Zoom, and it was just so they were kindergartners. So it was just so interesting to see how the teacher really had to engage the ones that were seated in front of her, as well as, the ones over. Just an incredible challenge, while also working with the the Zoom and the technology. And, we're in a time where we're all at the mercy of, the internet, the wireless.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I agree with you too, because one of the things that we had to deal with, that we have to deal with, is keeping the kids at home, keeping their attention.
Yes,
that's number one, because a lot of the kids sometimes they get involved in other things, and they something is very easy to distract them. So we have to figure out ways to keep them engaged, keep them interested. And also, from an emotional standpoint, we have to deal with the kids having to deal with not seeing their friends, not being in person with their friends, and dealing with some degree of depression, because that's what the kids do, especially with middle school kids. They're not seeing their friends, they're not seeing their teachers.
Friends.
So not only are we dealing with technology, but now we have to deal with the emotional well-being of the kids, because a lot of the kids, they want to be connected, they want to be with their friends, and they can't.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that you were able to do to be able to help them with that, and to fight off some of those depression incidents?
I find to just keep them engaged, have them participate was the main thing for me. Having them participate at home, because having them and keeping them engaged, keeping them moving, giving them, things and ideas, different things to do, so to keep them, to keep the time going, so that they don't have time to think about separation.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, well, hopefully next year, based on what we're being told, next year, will resemble, pre-pandemic environment in the education classroom. So, prayerfully that all of the students will be able to return to the classroom and continue their education. So tell us a little bit about, you have a video and a single out. That is exciting in the midst of everything else. Tell us about that.
Yes, I have a song called No Weapon, based on the scripture in Isaiah 54:17. It says, no weapon that is formed against us shall prosper. And it was, the impetus of that song was the fact that we were dealing with so much, dealing with the pandemic, and dealing with the racial unrest, and dealing with the political unrest, and everything going on. So we know that a lot of that stuff comes from Satan. And so we had to take a stand. We had to say, listen, there's no weapon that is formed against us. If we are truly walking in the word, we're truly covered by the blood, there's no weapon that is formed against us shall prosper. And so basically, that song is a reminder of that. The song is a reminder of that. And the video to go with it is a reminder of just that. And, I did that with a friend of mine. Her name is Paula G. And we're singing the song together as a duet. And we're sending the message out to everybody to let them know, listen, don't give up, don't give in, because God got your back. He's protecting you. Don't give in to what Satan has to offer, because he wants to kill you. He wants to destroy you.
Yes.
But we got to remember, we're covered under the blood, so we got nothing to worry about. And so
Amen. Amen
that's
to
the
that.
movement, and that's the message.
Yes.
And the song is called "No Weapon."
Wow. And you know, it's so what you just shared was so powerful, because throughout this season, you know, we've been reminded of, and I referenced it in a previous show, we've been reminded of, you know, and there are times in our lives where we go through difficult challenges, and sometimes the present moment, the crisis in this present moment can paralyze us, and we can't see beyond that. And a song such as "No Weapon," it really encourages and helps, you know, the saints. It helps men and women to see beyond their moment. There is life beyond this, you know, but we've got to hold on and remember that. And I always say this: God never said it was going to be easy. He just simply said he would never leave us.
That's right.
And he would never forsake us. So that is a wonderful reminder. You know, we always need that visual.
Yeah.
So, you know, having a video is you know, is a wonderful thing. So, you know, in the past year, I know there may have been moments yourself where, you know, you got a bit discouraged, maybe frustrated, you know, over the situation of what was occurring. What was it that you did yourself to keep yourself going, to keep yourself getting up every day? And because it takes a lot of energy, first of all, to be a teacher, an instructor. And, you know, sometimes when you're going through things yourself, it's you know, you got to get yourself going, you know, before you can get anyone else. So share with us, you know, maybe some of the little nuggets that you were able to implement for yourself.
Okay, well, a lot of time spending with the Lord, talking to God, you know, you know, asking Him for inspiration, asking Him for direction, asking Him for guidance. And when I get to that point, because He's gifted me with music, I turn to music for my inspiration. And specifically speaking, I like to listen to Richard Smallwood. You know, I listen to Richard Smallwood. Certain songs by Hezekiah Walker I listen to. And me being a musician, I like the up-tempo songs, but I'm really a ballad person. I like the slow, soft songs, you know, and most of my songs I write are ballads. I think that's where the introspection comes, you know. That's where you can really connect with those on a very personal level. You can really connect. I think you can connect with God, and so those are the people I turn to for my inspiration. And you know, of course, you know, I have people to bounce it off to. I have good friends of mine who are ministers I can talk to. I can call a good friend of mine in New York he's like my ninth brother. I had 8 brothers. My mother had 9 sons. And so he's my 9th brother. So I can call him anytime. His Elder Robert Thomas, his name is. And I can call him for NT thing.
NT. Emphasize that NT.
NT thing. I can call him and he's a great sounding board for me. He listens to me, you know, and we bounce things off of each other. And you know, and of course my wife, you know.
And how many years have you all been married?
Married 11 years.
11 years.
It'll be 12 years.
And share with us some pearls of wisdom in regard to marriage and relationships, and what you feel are key element or elements in a successful relationship.
I think marriage is a ministry. I think marriage is a ministry because things come up that's going to challenge that relationship, and we have to be steadfast and unmovable. So we have to minister to each other. Marriage is I think it's a covering. You know, it's a covering for us because once we stay under the cover of God, then we're like under His umbrella. I think we're safe. You know. and it's a marathon. You know, it's not a sprint. You know, it's a marathon. You know, you got a long way to go, and if you give up, there's no victory in giving up. So
right.
you know, you have to tough it out till the end. You know.
I love it. You dropped some wisdom on us, and somebody needed to hear that. And for those of you who may not be familiar with, our guest said, referred to his friend that he can call for NT thing. NT, that's a whole different level of friendship. That's that ride or die. That is a whole nother, anything is wonderful. You can call a friend, but when you call for NT thing, man, NT. So share with our audience your social media or website or how they can connect with you.
Oh, okay. I have a Facebook page, Lewis Anderson. Let me see. I'm on Reverb Nation, Spotify, pretty much all the social media, iTunes, all the media platforms you can find me.
So your Facebook page, tell us, spell it for us. Is it L-E-W L-O?
Yeah, L-E-W-I-S-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N. Okay.
L-E-W-I-S-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N. Facebook page for our guest, Lewis Anderson, today. Thank you. Are there any parting words that you'd like to share with our audience? Any words of encouragement?
Just don't give up. Life seems to throw a lot of things at you. Just be steadfast, be unmovable, and hang on. Like the song says, hold on to God's unchanging hand.
Changing hand.
Hold on to God's unchanging hand. He will never leave you nor forsake you, and he won't fail you.
Yes.
He will not fail you.
He will not fail you. And that is so necessary to keep repeating. Those of you who are listening to this conversation, you've listened to our guest, and he shared a bit of his journey. He shared how he had to navigate through this past year, and the thing is, like he said, to hold on, to not let go, not give up. You got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because as long as you are living and breathing, you still have an opportunity. And I know there are days that seem dismal, and it seems like there's nothing on the other side. But as our guest said today, no weapon.
If I must say so, I have two songs I wrote. One song called "There's Nothing Too Hard for God," and another song that says, "Hold on, don't let go your faith."
Come on now.
Hold on. Don't
let go of your faith. And there's nothing
too hard for God.
Nothing too hard for God. We want to thank you so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so very much for joining us. You're welcome back anytime to My Journey with Paula G.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate you.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all for joining us for another episode of My Journey with Paula G. We thank our underwriters. Without them, this would not be possible. And if you'd like to join the journey as an underwriter, you may email jerryvoicelive@gmail.com or paula@paulagvoice.com for more information. We thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, you can check me out across social media, Paula G Voice, my website, paulagvoice.com. We appreciate y'all. And once again, remember, the greatest conversation you will ever have is the one that takes place in between your ears. What are you speaking to yourself? Is God a part of that conversation? And are you listening to his still small voice? Until next time, embrace the journey.
Old school, new school, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I've been Step into your miracle.
Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle.
I like that.
Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle.
I like that.
Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle.
I like that.
Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle. Step into your miracle.
1, 2, 3.
Step into your miracle.
Come on, you ready?
Step into your miracle.